It's Judy on the radio, building dreams and achieving more, telling it just like it is. Most of all, keeping it real. Are you ready for real talk? Changing lives and communities. Real talk. Saving all our families. Real talk. Bringing hope for you and me. Real talk. Real talk with Judy. Real talk with Judy on the radio. Real talk with Judy. Real talk with Judy on the radio.
Well, good morning and welcome to the Real Talk with Judy live radio show. This is the #1 talk show for empowering, inspiring, motivating, and helping women and others to see that it is possible. What is it? Whatever you want it to be. That's your it. But we're so glad to have you this morning. Thank you. I see you, Carolyn, and those of you who joined in. Thank you all so very much. You have to see it before you see it, or you never will see it. And that's Real Talk. I am Dr. Judy. Hello, Mama. I am Dr. Judy, your Real Talk host. Thank you for being with me today, March 1st, 2022, right here on Hallelujah 95.3 FM. Those joining me via Facebook Live and YouTube, Real Talk with Judy, live radio. Y'all go ahead, if you will, call, text, tag, and share this with somebody. Let your family and friends know that I'm on the air and I have a show designed specifically for them today with one of the greatest men I know. And so I want you all to go ahead and get your people on here, your friends and everybody. Good to see you, Prophet Carla. Hello. Auntie Doris, thank you for being on. All of y'all who are on, thank y'all so very very much. I want to say hello to my mama, Mother Dr. Irma Hunter Wesley, who I got to spend the weekend with. Birthday. So we are so glad that you're on. And to my amazing, to my husband, my wonderful husband, Superintendent Dr. Gerald Mandrell, who enabled me to do what I get to do, the senior pastor of Life Changes. Thank you, sweetheart. To my amazing team, led by the one and only Sister Priscilla and John Louis, who helped me deliver an award-winning show to a great audience, to what I believe one of the greatest audience everywhere, and that is you for tuning in with me every Tuesday. I greatly appreciate you. Thanks again for tuning in. To all of the businesses who are tuning in with us, thank you all so very much for tuning in. Greatly appreciate you. We're so glad to see so many of you. And I want to personally invite any one of you to become a sponsor, an investing partner with the Real Talk with Judy show. I promise you, we are on the move. Good morning, Sister Mizelle, Carla, Prophet, Doris, Cindy, Scotland, my mom, and everybody who's tuning in. Thank you all so very much. Listen, before I go any further, I want to thank Dot D, Reverend Home, and Tallahassee'S Sanders for presenting me with the Media Pioneer Award on last night. Y'all, that gala was everything absolute beautiful. It was beautiful. So many people. The room was decorated, and they presented us with the award in grandstand. And so we want to say thank you, Reverend Holmes, Dot D, and Ms. Tallahassee'S Sanders. You, man, it was an absolute beautiful night. And one of the recipients stated that it's time for it to be on TV, not just there, but they want to be do it on TV. So thank you, Sister Sharon. She will get people on here. Thank you so very much for tagging everybody. Y'all tag. And the last night was second to none. And so many people there. To all my guests who came specifically with me, I want to say thank you. And then they had a catered dinner for everyone. And I want to say thank you all so very much. Again, Dot D, Reverend Holmes and Tallahassee'S, thank you all so very much. Man, that was like the Stellar Awards or the Grammy. It was absolutely fantastic. And so Dot D, again, thank you, sir. I mean, I can't even express to you how that felt to be honored in your hometown. Aunt Rose and Karen from California, everybody who's on here, thank you all. Well, today, I know today is the beginning of Women History Month. I understand that very well. And God has blessed me to accomplish some great things. He really has. And I wanted to bring on, and y'all see him sitting right here, so it won't be a surprise who's coming on, right? But this is Mr. Henry Hunter Esq, one of Florida's first Black lawyers. But not only that, he's one of my number one mentors. And I have watched him growing up as a child. I have watched my uncle. I have admired him. I really have. I love to sit and talk because he knows everything, right? You know, attorneys think they know everything in the world. My uncle knows a whole lot. And y'all, his wisdom is second to none. And I wanted to bring him on here to kick off Women's History Month with me because he's my mentor. And that's why I wanted to bring him on. And not only that, Saturday is his birthday. And Saturday is his birthday. I just want to celebrate. I love this man. He has poured so much into me, our family. He has blessed our family. And sometimes, you know, when people become knowing everything and smart like he is, intelligent, but y'all, he's touchable. And I could go through a lot of his history. He was 1988 outstanding business person, attorney Henry Hunter. He has accomplished so many things. He had practiced law for over 30, about over 40 years.
42.
Ooh, over 43 years, y'all. And so today we're going to talk about him. I have some things I want to ask him and get his input on it. But ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I want to present and introduce to some. And he's going to tell y'all, we're going to talk about where he's from. Because a lot of y'all hadn't heard of that. But I promise you, he's one of the greatest men I know. And he has made an indelible impression upon my life. I think I gave him a plaque one time, you know, simply because I admire him. I do. He's my uncle. And sometimes we go way across the world trying to find people to honor. But I have so many people in my own family that God has blessed me with. And my uncle, Henry Hunter, Sr., Esquire. I don't want to let Henry think I'm talking about him right now. But Henry Hunter Sr., Esquire, is here with me today. Uncle Skip, and I'm going to call him Uncle Skip. That is his affectionate name everywhere. And so, Uncle Skip, welcome to the Real Talk with Judy show.
Well, Judy, thank you very much. And I'm humbly here, especially with you. You're comfortable. You're my niece, but one thing about you, I think I've seen you been in the same place almost all of your life. You know, you grew up in Fort Lauderdale. I was in and out of Fort Lauderdale during the summers. I was out of school. Then you came to school in Tallahassee, and like everybody else, you came to school fixing to leave, and upon graduation, and never left. And I was here the whole time, so I had the pleasure of being around you to watch you grow and see you in the community and serve God. Been a Christian a long time, the same Christian. And your family, Gerald, and your mom, Irma, my sister, Rose, and all the family. I'm glad to be here. Glad to be on this show. I listen all the time, but it's good to just be here.
Yeah, and he does listen all the time. And I find that remarkable because, I love this man. And so he's from, but we got some things we want to talk about. I got a plethora of things. I mean, he had told me to go to law school, right? Because I admired him so much. And I was going to go, but he told me this. For 2.5 years, I'm going to have to give up church. He said, not really give it up, but you're going to have to study hard and you won't be able to go all the time. You know what? I wish I would have listened. I wish I would have listened, because then I would have been totally in his footstep. But I tried to. I don't try. A lot of things I've seen him do, I've heard him say, it is in my life, and I do it in this community. I do some of the same things I've seen you do, Uncle Skip. And Uncle Skip, I'm skipping around for a minute, but you have helped so many people in this community. And with pride, I tell everybody, y'all know Henry Hunter? Y'all know Skip? Yeah, that's my uncle. Because I am so proud. And so a lot of things I've seen you do, Uncle Skip, you have served people, you have done pro bono, you have stood in the dungeons with people and helped them get out. I've seen that with my own eyes when I came here. So, Uncle Skip, that's a servant heart.
That's correct.
That's a servant. But tell me a little bit about. I mean, I want to hear about Apalachicola, but tell me a little bit about that, because I saw you do that.
Well, helping people. The easiest way to help somebody is to have the means to help them. You need excess money. And it's easy to help with excess money of somebody else's money. But the real test is to give somebody money you need. And that is a test for you, to give people money you need. It's practicing law. If you got empathizing and a Christian heart, and shall I say, a Church of God in Christ heart, and you can help somebody, most of the time you will. Even if you can't, you got faith that you'll make it back to help somebody. And being a lawyer, especially a defense lawyer or plaintiff's lawyer, when you're trying to give somebody their liberty back, especially when you know that they're wrongfully accused, and you can't convince people to drop their charges and send them before 6 people, sometimes 12 people, not knowing who they are, not knowing where they come from, not knowing what 6 you're going to get, but you know that this person, life, is in you and God's hand. And let me tell you something right away. They say lawyers are liars. Well, we simply say what our clients tell us to say. We're the messenger. The messenger don't lie. But don't nobody tell you that trial lawyers don't pray.
Yes, sir.
We pray before we leave trial. The last thing we do is walk out of the office, is pray, okay? Mm-hmm. And to believe and have faith. And then we go. When you're going prepared and knowing what you're doing, it's like playing basketball. When you know you can play, when you know you can beat the other guy, when you know what you're talking about, well, you're still going to have the jitters. You still have that uncertainty there. But you know that you'll figure it out and stick to task to try to acquit, especially somebody that's innocent or somebody that's not guilty of what they're charged with. We grew up with Perry Mason. That's the only lawyer I saw until law school. Well, I guess I saw the other lawyer in the courtroom too. We forget about him. There was a prosecutor there too, but we only recognize Perry Mason. And it's always a question of who did it. Uh-huh. But when you're practicing law, a lot of people think about law as just criminal law, criminal defense work. It's not always who did it. The question is, did he do what you're charging him with? And a lot of times people don't understand it. They say, how did he get an acquittal? How did that guy get acquitted? Well, it's not whether he did it or not. It's whether he did what he's charged with.
What he's charged with.
Okay? And you have to prove the elements of what he's charged with. And let me tell you, and my kids will tell you, they were my jury until their mother made me stop, because I line them up, I give them $5 if they hear it all and tell me what they thought. And they did, and I always wanted to cut it short. And we'll be trying cases that just before bedtime, in the middle of the day, when I pick them up in the car, we talk about it. And if they listen to the whole thing, I give them each one $5. And that helped a lot, just to have a sounding board. But it's good to be here. and I think I did pretty well in life.
I think you did pretty well in life
we
too.
had a chance to go all over the world, with the exception of China and Japan, the other continents, with the exception of Antarctica too, but all the rest of them, Africa, Europe.
Now, you did real good in life, especially coming from Apalachicola. Because number one, nobody really heard of Apalachicola. A lot of people hadn't heard of Apalachicola. I probably wouldn't have had heard of Apalachicola. My mom went from Apalachicola and all y'all. And I remember coming to Apalachicola during the summer, and Grandma Hunter, we had to walk to church. Then we got excited about it. But what was it like growing up in, and I know you mentioned Perry Mason. Is that where you get your, is that why you want to be a lawyer?
No, that's just the only person I saw as a lawyer. Matter of fact, that was not my favorite show. I think I watched Gunsmoke or something. But growing up in Apalachicola is unique because during that time, there was no cable TV. There was no internet. So you grew up, I spent a lot of time in church, Church of God in Christ. As you know, on Sunday is a day that you have Sunday school, church. Then you have YPWW, church. In between, there's a big dinner. Mm-hmm. So that's the whole day. But in Apalachicola, my dad enjoyed sports fishing, and I enjoyed it too, but I didn't enjoy cleaning them. So that's where I got my nickname, Skip from.
Skip. Okay, you were Skip?
My daddy's Skipper, but he told me don't let anybody call me Pearl because it make you weak. You gotta be tough. You can't have somebody call you Skipper.
So you just call you Skip?
Just call you Skip. And we spent that time. Apalachicola is not that bad. The older you get, the more you appreciate Apalachicola. And you say you haven't heard of Apalachicola, but if you're an oyster connoisseur, back in the day, the bay's closed now, Apalachicola oysters are or was the best oysters in the world.
And that is the truth.
And the other time that you heard about Apalachicola all the time is when the major hurricanes came through. Because a lot of times the eye would be aimed at Apalachicola, and you hear it on the news all the time.
Okay.
Apalachicola had an ability to pray hurricanes away from Apalachicola, not necessarily on somebody else.
Just away from Apalachicola.
Yeah, I mean, after Hurricane, was it Katrina? The price of property went up in Apalachicola like you wouldn't believe. Everybody wanted to come to that little place. And Apalachicola, you can bifurcate growing up there. We had the segregated days. We all lived on the hill, and we had a section of Apalachicola called 9th Street where we played basketball all the time in the alley. The city never interrupted us. Garbage man went around the corner and let us play basketball. We became known as the Alley Boys, which was a basketball court available night and day. And we played night and day until Daddy put a light out there and we played way in the morning. But we played basketball every day. That's because we only had one sport. We didn't have a football team, a baseball team, no archery, no track. We had basketball, and basketball.
Yeah, you were good at it too. I remember coming to your game, Uncle Sam, rest in peace. But I remember going out there watching y'all play basketball. Which I forgot who y'all played. We were young. Y'all was out there. Boy, we felt proud to see y'all play. And you've done well. You were one of the first. No, what made you choose law as a profession?
That's interesting. I went to Quinn High School, which was a predominantly black school, and the success meant two things. You can grow up, be a school teacher, because the school teacher and the principal were the most respected people as far as professional-wise there. They were always dressed well. Almost 90% of them came from FAMU. One or two would slip in from Bethune-Cookman or Tuskegee, but that was it. And they all great. Back that time, they had an image. They all dressed well. They couldn't go to the clubs. They all spoke well and kind of looked up to it. That's when we had the Quinn High School, which was 100% segregated. Then, like FAMU's law school, it came and took our school, and we all had to go to the so-called white school, majority school, or only school, and we went over there, and that experience was something else because the schools, even though you were going to school together, the schools were segregated within. You know, we all sat in the same section together. Most of the black kids, nobody sat in a separate section. There was no commingling. We didn't sit at the same table in the lunchroom. So we had a segregated situation in the schools. I played basketball for Chapman High School. I had two guys I played basketball for 2 years with, and they never spoke to me.
Wow.
And it didn't matter, you know, the coach was all over there. But full time telling them to give me the ball, they were so prejudiced, they wouldn't pass the ball.
Wow.
But we had other incidents there. And because we didn't have anything to compare those incidents with outside, you knew they were racial, but your parents and other people in the community taught you how to deal with racists, how to deal with them. And they taught us the boundaries. You know, we don't get caught across 98th Street at night. You know, that was basically it. So we didn't go across 98, Highway 98. That was the dividing line. That was the boundary between black and white.
Wow. Uncle Skip, you just said something. So you said two things. Daryl Jones, thank you. Daryl said, how wonderful. This is an amazing moment with amazing people who are family. You know, and that's a big for us. Family is super big for us.
Yeah, family is super big. And I think I was the first one to get a degree. And I made sure you and everybody else graduated from college.
Including Mama.
And including your mother and your Aunt Rose went on to get masters.
Like Cassam.
And Cassam, all their children, all your mama's children. And let me just say, family was a big contributor. A lot of people
all your children.
Degrees, all my children, everybody. Make sure they get a degree. And without naming anybody, sometimes they had problems.
Yeah.
And sometimes they thought they wanted to stop for a little while. And I know stopping wasn't necessarily quitting, but you weren't going to stop. You just keep on going. I tried to encourage them not to take a break between undergrad and graduate school because too many traps are out there, like getting in debt, get an apartment, buy houses, get married, get a mate, and you're fixing to go back to school and you find yourself never going back.
Yeah. And you said something I can skip, and I believe that your image that you presented before us meant everything to this family. You stated that at Quinn, the image that was presented before you all was the principals and the school teachers who modeled success and showed you a lot of things. And I believe that if people can see it before them and imagine themselves there, there's a greater possibility that they will achieve the success that they see.
And I agree with you 100% on that. And let me tell you two instances that kind of influenced me tremendously. And before I get started to that, Daryl Jones, our superintendent, let me compliment you for the stupendous, great job you did on the voter rights demonstration before the Capitol. I thought that was magnificent. Daryl, we're real proud of you.
Yes.
Now, let me tell you, you have some situations that really, really impact on me. I think one of the ones was that I went to Fort Lauderdale as a kid all the time with my mom on the Trailways bus and to see our sister who was always accommodating and other family in Fort Lauderdale. But between my sophomore and junior year, being in Apalachicola, I went to Tucson, Arizona to see my younger sister, Rose Bankhead. Rose lived on a military base, and that was a culture shock to me. She was not the only black on the base, but in the little area we're in, she's the only black there. And immediately upon arrival, I saw a bunch of white people in her house, adults and all, and talking and carrying on, and everybody with open arms inviting you to Tucson. And in that community, I guess where I learned to play basketball most, and I played all day. I got a chance to play against the airmen, white and black, and a little guy named Chucky, who was a German guy. I went everywhere with him, taught me, well, he took me on the golf course. He didn't teach me very much, but about golf and archery and all sports, people playing bridge, which I beat everybody because I knew how to play bridge. And that was a culture shock, just totally integrated out there, unlike Apalachicola. And you got to stay there for 3 months, and that had a big impact on me. And another instance was when I went to Fort Lauderdale, trying to see if that was between high school and college that summer. And I got a job on the beach at a resort on the beach. When I went to work out there, black people working in the back. My cousin was the assistant chef. But to see how people were living, I had to question myself, is this heaven? These people, they don't work. They get up. They go to the pool. We bought them breakfast. They stay by the pool, go play tennis, go to the spa, go lay on the beach all day. And this went on for the whole summer. I said, this must be heaven. You know, they don't have to work. They eat. We bring them their food. We change their linen. Just go lay on the beach. And that had an impact on me because we went to the beach, but we didn't go to the beach like that, laying out and having service. And that had an impact on me. And to talk to the people that work there, to see how their minds were that's not expanded there. They lived in the quarters, working Fort Lauderdale during the summer, and then they moved some other place in the winter around North Carolina or someplace. But, you know, that had an impact on me. I didn't want to be that. I knew it. If I had my preference, or rather, I wanted to be on the beach like the rest of them out there playing tennis and go back on the beach. And that's it. And that had an impact on me to see that division, to see how white people were living and how the black people down on that beach at that club were living. Yeah. Those two instances let me know that there was a bigger world out there, a real bigger world. And that's one of the advantages that you run into. When I went to FSU, we had a lot of kids, especially from Miami, in Washington, D.C., who had never been around white people, ever, period.
Wow.
And there's a little culture shock to them.
Yeah.
There also. And a lot of people say, what was it like going to FSU? Did they spit on you? Did they beat you up? They call you the N-word? No. It was just the opposite. I spent a lot of my time keeping my friends from jumping on them. Nobody ever, speaking of FSU, we spent a lot of time at FAMU, but at FSU, that's when a lot of FAMU students came to FSU. Well, because we got our financial aid early, and a lot of it. And during that time, they gave the money directly to you. So, your friends would come over, and good times had ball.
I want to say hello, Evangelist Pamela, Lady Pamela Murray, and to all of you all who are tuning in. Thank you all so very much. I am on with Mr. Henry Hunter Esq. He's my uncle and mentor, and I want him to come on today as we kick off Women History Month because he has made a great influence upon my life, and I am where I am because he has helped. And my mom is the matriarch of our family, y'all. This is her baby brother. And she would tell you she got one sister. That's my Aunt Rose out in California. And this is her baby brother. And she had two other siblings who have passed, but it was none like them Hunter children. And we just thank you. So I want him to come on today to share the wisdom that I am privy to all the time. And sometimes he'll call just to say, Judy, I'm proud of what you're doing. Sometimes he don't really say Judy. He say February 13, 1959. Because he said, I will make sure I tell everybody that they ask me my name, February 13, 1959. Uncle Skip, you have opened the door for so many women. You have helped so many women. Today is Women History Month. What are your views about women today?
women, number one, you can't get here without a woman, but what women are doing today, you have the white female, and just bluntly, you have the black female. The problem for both black women and white women, they were left out of the Constitution initially. And, black women were left out of the Constitution in two ways, being black and a woman, and other ways. And there's a third thing I think about women that you think a whole lot about. The male was taught early the role of the woman. And as the world changed, that role changed. And that was hard for a lot of males to, and still is, to adapt to. Most of the time the women didn't work and you had to work. And because you were the main provider, you thought you paid the cost to be the boss, as you hear them say. But they had this culture where they controlled the woman. Outwardly, that was the belief, but inward, it wasn't exactly like that. And I had to explain to a bunch of Supreme Court justices when we were sitting around when this domestic violence issue was coming up before us. Everybody think of domestic violence of some guy, white guy, going to work. The stock market goes down, his stock goes down, he comes home and gets a drink and want to beat his wife because she said something about her dummy is because he's lost the family money and she get beat up. Okay, that's one scenario. Another scenario is when Mr. Johnny has been working 45 hours, and I mean work with his hand and sweat on his back. And there's a lot of custom during that time. You're going to stop by the barrel or stop by a parking lot and have a beer, 2 beers, and then go home. Sometimes 2 beers turn to 3, sometimes it turns to 4, sometimes a tunk game will break out, and you might not be successful at tunk, and then you go home. And it wasn't a situation where you go home and beat your wife, because you couldn't beat your wife. A lot of guys are 5'7", 135 pounds soaking wet, and the wife is about 5'10", 312.
Watch yourself.
And it goes a little bit differently back in that situation. I mean, it's not always the male doing the domestic battery, but the assumption is that is the male who initiates it, and that's who gets arrested. And there's a lot of discrimination there, systemic discrimination. If the police is called, he comes and without explanation, the first thing he does is arrest the male. And in the well-to-do part of town, they would tell him, why don't you leave for the night, get your hotel or something, y'all work it out. But the way the law has evolved now, they're going to immediately arrest the male, they're going to lock him up, let him out the next day, and an injunction is automatically issued. You got one time under the supervision of a deputy to go back to the house and get your belongings. And I'm one of the people that's controversial and kind of speak out on that, because I think that destroys so many marriages where I don't think anybody ought to be in an abusive relationship. Let me say that. But a lot of times, the way law enforcement approach that, there's not a time for forgiveness. There's not a time for making up. They don't believe, they won't do it again. Got a drinking problem, drug problem, or just the pressures and the vicissitudes of being a black male. Stress will cause all kinds of problems. And I don't condone domestic violence, but I think opportunities should be given for a family to make up, instead of when law enforcement comes, they break it up with no chance of communicating. I mean, no email, no text, don't send the message. They say no communication. They mean no communication. But the other thing is, you can see how women, white women and black women, have come a long way, especially when you're watching the news as it's presented now. Most of the news reporters, especially the hosts, are white females, and you have some black females. But women first have the legal right to matters, okay, and then surviving the partnership or the marriage between a man, okay, were not allowed to work. I mean, women have come a long way, but as we saw in Afghanistan, they're fighting for the right to drive. a car. So I show you around the world, it's not exactly like that. We wanted to overcome it, and we're proud. And we're talking about Black women. Probably two of them stands out quickly. That's the Vice President of the United States, and the recently appointed nominated Supreme Court Justice. And you can see the obstacles they're trying to create already on that. But I'm so proud of her. And you know what? Our two, I wouldn't say successful, but openly successful, like the Vice President and the Supreme Court nominee. A common factor is they're both married to white males. And that works in a way that shows you at the top of the level, you're going to have to learn how to deal with all races at the top, because it's tough up there.
Yeah. And I was super proud when, Kamala, when she was chosen as President Biden choice for vice president. I mean, I really was. She was a Black female, and I wasn't even paying attention with her being married to a white man. What was important to me, she was a Black female. She was intelligent. And I know out in California, she did all of this. But what was impressive, she was a Black female, strong. Now, Stacey Abrams has become one of my. I'll move to Georgia for a minute, if I could, to vote for or to work with her, because I just love. I think everything about her strength, her courage. Same thing with Kamala, and then I think I say her last name Jackson.
Brown Jackson.
Brown Jackson.
Jackson Brown.
Brown Jackson, to be the first Black woman nominated to sit on the Supreme Court. And as you stated, and to your point, I believe that women are now coming the last few years to understand the power that they possess as well. Unfortunately, you do have some men who I believe are intimidated with the strength and the wisdom and the courage these women are coming forth with. But Uncle Skip, they are being, and I feel like,
bless you.
Excuse me, it ain't COVID or anything. It's just some. But I feel that a lot of people are intimidated by strong of the latter Black. This the lady with the Supreme Court even. Now they're talking about her credentials or whatever. This lady's graduate of Harvard. Three times, and you go back and look at some of the people, the men that they put on the Supreme Court, never been a judge, someone turned the lawyers or all of that kind of stuff. How are we going to get through this? I mean, we're coming up, but we're going to get through all of this.
Well, first, we got to get her on the Supreme Court, and it's nice to be a nominee.
Yeah.
But when you're Black and at that level, you'll be surprised how the made up excuses and fabricated logic that they will have not to vote for, especially Republicans are coming out. And I don't know whether they never mention her party affiliation. It's just that she's the first Black female. You know, I was married to a judge, and it takes a special type of guy to be married to a strong woman, because we've been indoctrinated with what women work and what a man should do, and the superiority and the dominance of the female. And worse than that, we have adopted the Jim Crow laws or the old methods of controlling slaves as a method of controlling your woman. Before the domestic laws came out a long time ago, you couldn't rape your wife in certain states. Without explaining that, it should be self-explanatory. And it wasn't against the law to beat your wife and to control women back before the law changed. And that is the way they control them and force them to do whatever you wanted to do.
I'm going to go back. I know you said it should be self-explanatory. So but to make sure that everybody understanding. In certain states, you said they couldn't rape the wife.
Yeah.
Which means that if they were forceful, they did whatever they wanted to do, it was okay.
It was okay. You couldn't file a domestic violence complaint or domestic complaint for rape or aggravated rape, assault. When you got married, they gave you the right to do whatever sexually to your wife, everything except kill her.
Wow.
But it takes a certain type of man, and I can tell you that from personal experience, to deal with a smart, well-educated Black female who's been experienced around the world, coming back. And when Eleanor talked about women's rights, they used to call it women live.
Mm-hmm.
And the arguments for the rights of women made by her got to be so loud that one time they called the police on us. We saw the police out there, everybody stopped talking. The guy came in and said, did y'all hear the loud noise? No. As soon as he left, the argument started again, because certain guys, especially the older guys, were adamant that they didn't want their wife in the workforce. And she had to explain to them that why not, and explain women are just as smart or smarter. Now, you see what's happening. I don't think that women, God-given and by their nature, have a lot of differences than men, but I don't see the distinction where one is superior over the other on that. I mean, women had to fight for rights. They were left out of the Constitution just like we were, and you get the women to get their rights, regardless. In this society, the women are the majority. It's just a matter of them getting their rights before they take it over.
Wow.
Here, and especially, you have to admire strong Black women because they're dealing with the woman issue, but more importantly, dealing with the Black woman issue. Mm-hmm. So you got a bifurcated fight that's going on.
Wow.
Well,
y'all see why I like to talk to him? I mean, because just look at this.
Yeah.
So we've come a long way, but we still have a long ways to go.
That's true. You have a long ways to go, and oftentimes criticized. But if you look at all institutions in America, there's systemic racism everywhere. And believe me, a lot of people help you as long as you're below them. A lot of people feel good with you when you're equal with them. But when you surpass them, way ahead of them, if they're still left in state government and you're out purportedly doing well with boats, airplanes, beach houses, and children, and jet skis, and inviting them down to enjoy it, everybody there is smiling in your face.
Wow.
But not necessarily proud of you in those situations. Then most people are, all right? Especially Apalachicola people.
And what advice would you give, Skip, to those who endure that, especially the women? You invite people because you can with your money. You said something earlier. Sometimes you help people with the money that you need, but you know that they need the help. So you take the money that they need and you help them.
Yeah.
Right. And you bring them to have good times and all of that. And you know that everybody's there. It's not for you, but you still want to give to everybody.
Well, you don't want to give to everybody. I mean, a lot of people you don't want to enable because they might trick you a couple of times, but you know what they're doing. And I think, for example, the impact that crack had on the Black community. I mean, it's an insatiable desire, right? On the money you got, whatever you got it for. If you're out there and you're addicted, you're going to spend money for rent, money for car payments and everything else. And sometimes you think you're helping somebody like that. A lot of them used to come to my office and looking for $20, and I got somebody back there. I probably gonna make $20,000 off, and they want to come in and say, "I want to see you for a moment," knocking on your door. mentioned $20, and the most common thing was my car is broken down with my family. I'm trying to get the TMH without
They
gas.
still saying that today.
Today they're saying that.
Yes.
But I just give them $20. Hey, just get out of here. Let me get back to work.
Yeah.
But that $20 over and over is simply enabling them. At some point, they got to hit rock bottom and stop. So helping people when you got the excess money, it's easy, and you feel good about it. I mean, some people, like, I lost a lot of money when the stock market was crashing because they had to go to legal aid. This lady was there. She had a $432 problem because she had been evicted and they destroyed her stuff before she could get it.
Mm-hmm.
And this lady, you can get a word in edgewise. She was going to report you to everybody if you didn't come help her. You went down there to help her. She had a $432 argument. So I didn't give it to her, but I left it there for legal aid to give her $432 and make her happy so I can get back to what I'm doing. And when you have some excess, it's wrong not to help people. I'm not saying that you ought to. Well, I do. I mean, I give those guys that you see panhandling. If you think about Jesus when he was going up to the temple and the beggar was out there. You see those guys, and I always say in the back of my mind, what is this, a test? So, hey, what difference $1 going to make to you, right? Or $2 going to make to you? So, yeah, I still give to them. I even give to the guys who are honest about it. You ever see the sign out there? Hey, let's be honest. I just want a beer. Okay, yeah. Just 6 pack.
Go get your beer.
But if you have able to do that, yeah, you can help out.
So we're gonna be coming to an end after a while, but what are you most proud of?
Most proud, well, obviously, three things I'm very proud of. That's Ellen, Henry, and Rosalie, my children. They all have grown up to make me very, very proud. I'm so proud of them that I don't brag on them too much. Scared I might jinx them. But I'm proud of that. I'm just proud and thank God, for health, life, health, and strength that we say in the Church of God in Christ.
That's it.
Everybody testified, life, health, and strength. And, if you can have a reasonable amount of finance and your health at the same time, that's a blessing. The blessing. That's the blessing of blessings. To have health and adequate finance at the same time to enjoy it. But I'm proud of my whole family. Proud of my sister Irma that I talk to every day, and Rose as much as I can talk to them. Both of them are in their 80s, in sound mind.
Yes.
And give good advice. And proud of. I'm just glad I had a mother who told me all the time, you don't live for this world, because this world ain't nothing like the world above, God's world. I think she was probably being a lawyer, but I think she really, really wanted me to be in a church or bishop or something.
Well, it ain't too late, Bishop Hunter.
Well, I know it's never too late.
It ain't too late, Bishop
But
Hunter.
that's the whole thing. That's thank God for them, and I'm proud of. Living in Tallahassee, I think people underestimate the power of living in Tallahassee. You've got people from all over the state gather here to divide up billions of dollars every year. I call them Alabama. They go, and that's what the legislature does. They divide up billions of dollars. And I don't think people living in Tallahassee spend the effort that we should be spending down to the legislature. Okay. Make America great again is no joke. America is as great as it's ever been right now. Instead of making it great again, turning it back. We got some problems here. We got an issue now that most people are going to be affected by it, Black people. Redistricting. It's going on up there right now, and making no bones about it. They want to get rid of the Black districts. Mm-hmm. They're Lawson's district. Yes. I litigated back in 1992, along with the NAACP, Legal Services of North Florida, on their side to get those Black districts. We were successful in getting, went from 6 to 26 Black districts. But we were successful in one area, but I think we failed on the other area when we realized the agenda was to give Blacks their own district in voting and take them out of the other districts so that the white Republicans can win, because black people were voted 98%. And living in Tallahassee to see those laws made without doing what we can do, voting rights is an issue too, but redistricting is right in front of us.
Right in front of us.
I didn't intend to get off on this.
No,
subject,
that's important.
but,
We got just a couple more minutes. But go ahead.
Really? Time went by that fast?
That fast?
Well, the most repulsive and offensive thing is to have a legislature and people around the country trying to get rid of Black history in Black History Month.
Yes.
That's offensive. I mean,
wow.
We see the incidents like changed the world when Dr. King was assassinated, the doors to Florida State, Florida, Miami, Michigan State, all those places. They opened the doors for the first Blacks, I call it. Like first Black football player, first Black to go to school there, the first Black to do this, the first Black to do that. And then the doors kind of equal out with women and Blacks being successful. Mm-hmm. The money came in and the doors opened. And then the doors opened again with George Floyd. Mm-hmm. Corporations are opening up their money. They're giving money to HBCUs. They're giving money to Black charities. And I think we're going to have to take advantage of this and don't let America go backwards.
Yes.
And it's going to take women, Black and white women,
yes, sir,
to be strong in this. And I think they will.
That's what I believe too, Uncle Skip. I believe that now is the time that women are going to be at the lead of doing a lot of things. And we're going to have to do it together. And we're going to have to do it in courage. And it's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot. Even the sister girls that God had given me to start, Black women, white women, Asian women, gay women, straight women. I mean, all of these different denominations, different faiths, we're all here together. And I don't understand the magnitude of it, but I can see it. You understand what I'm saying, Uncle Skip? I can see it. And we have over 400 and some women. Even the greater Tallahassee'S, Sue Dix, Katrina Tuggerson, Christy Henry, all of these women with the chambers, we're coming together. The mayor's wife, the city commissioners, Diane William Cox, Carolyn Cummins. I mean, they're here working. Even Jack Porter, they're here working. I mean, women women who's part of who's in the homeless shelter. And I know that it is so big. It is huge. Dot D and those with the media pioneer, setting and open up trailways and places, pioneer, open up places for others to come. I know it. I can't,
I agree 101% with you. That coalition of women is huge. It's going to be recognized, especially this election year. Mm-hmm. I think it's probably one of the most powerful coalitions that I've seen here in Tallahassee right now. And the politicians are going to come to you, if some of them are already politicians who are in your group, but that's going to be a great force. And I think that type of force is a force for change in the right direction. Mm-hmm. The history doesn't blame white women for all of these notorious and vicious acts and plots that they did there. So a coalition of women like you have, and being there, I know now that it's going to be a force to reckon with and guided in the right direction like you're doing. I think you can make a lot of changes, and you'll be successful. You just hold on to the progress that we have. I mean, it's so sad. Yeah. See what's happened. What's happened to this world? You turn on the TV and you see a war.
Yeah. That's a whole nother thing.
2022.
I wish we could talk about. But Uncle Skip, thank you. And I know you all have enjoyed him. And so many of you have made comments. Daryl Jones said your story deserved to be shared. He's an icon for sure. So many people making comments. So many people on here. We want to thank you all for tuning in. And I know that those of you who did not know Mr. Henry Hunter know him now just a little bit. But this man has a wealth of wisdom,
Yeah.
And I love the fact that he don't mind sharing it. And y'all, he helps me a lot.
Yeah.
He helps me a lot.
Well,
He loves us. He loves life changes too. He got some
I
things.
love life changes. And I'm going to say this about life changes. If you call them, they'll come. You're sick and you're taking your pain pills and you're not out, you might see 2. And when you wake back up, you're going to see 20, not making noise, but all sitting around praying. And that's a good feeling. And for the rest of you all out there, if you don't know me, you know of me because of the thousands, lots of thousands that came to my homecoming parties.
Yeah.
I love you all.
Yeah. Man, those were some parties out there at the Moon and
Rooms, country clubs, and
I'm about to say the country
and other places.
everywhere. Mr. Henry Hunter, homecoming party. So, Uncle Skip, thank you so very much for being here on the Real Talk with Judy show. Y'all, I don't believe I could have kicked off Women's History Month with a better person. I really don't. And I'm honored to have my husband. Have my uncle. That ain't none of my husband. That's my uncle for real. To have my uncle on this show. And I was about to say, who is a blessing to my husband and I. He has been here with us for forever. Pamela Murray out of Georgia, away of California. She said, thank you for sharing, Mr. Hunter. So
thank you all. You know, when you get, I know I don't look my age, I'm 60-something. Well, 60-something in some months, a lot of months. But you see a lot of things, and the older you get, the clearer things are to you. I can say that.
So there you have it. That is Mr. Henry Hunter, who has been with me, Henry Hunter Esq. Tallahassee living legend is what I call him. Not just Tallahassee, all over the world. He has impacted thousands and thousands of lives. And so we want to say to you, Uncle Skip, happy birthday.
Well, thank you.
His birthday is Saturday. And we might go get some oysters. I got a very important meeting from 2 to 4, but I'm going to take him over there and get him some oysters later on. But we love you, Uncle Skip. The family love you. Tallahassee love you. And y'all been listening to the Real Talk with Judy live radio show. And I want to thank you, Dr. D.
Word?
Yes.
Yeah, let me leave one of the slogans that I had to live by all of my life. My mom told me, she said, all God requires is for you to do your best. And only you and God know what your best is. That's my motto.
And with that, John, that's a good way to lead the show. I want to thank you all so very much again for tuning in to the Real Talk with Judy show. Uncle Skip, thank you. This show has been good to me, been very good. And I want to thank all of the listeners by way of radio, Facebook, and YouTube. I want to ask you to do me a favor. Share this on your Facebook page. Share this on your YouTube. Just share it. Have people to come and listen to it. Today was worth millions. Today was worth millions. And there's more. You'll hear about it. Join me tonight in Bible study. It's Elder Maurice Allen, Evangelism President. Lead us in Bible study tonight. Again, as I conclude, Dr. D, thank you. Talisha Sanders, thank you. Reverend Home, thank you for honoring me here in my city. And DC worldwide, that's where I'm going to, y'all. This is real. That's Real Talk worldwide.
Real talk with Judy. Real talk with Judy on the radio. Real talk with Judy. Real talk with Judy.